Hi, my name is Autumn, and I'm here with,
Christina.
and we're going to be talking about the woman experience in a high school setting.
So the first question is there any time in a school setting where you felt that you weren't being heard?
My name is Julia Tesmond. I'm a senior. And I think, yes, there's been many like group activities that if they're primarily boy ran, my opinion never really gets validated or it doesn't seem important enough. And I feel like I have to repeat myself like 5 times to be even heard like the once that a man would be heard.
I'm Tanvi. I'm a junior. I agree with Julia. I think you can't really catch it when it happens, but you get overlooked a lot and you don't like realize it because it's just societal. It's like you're used to it and you don't realize that you have to like speak up and you have to make like conscious efforts to speak up.
Right. So, would you guys like say that kind of the hardest part of being like a woman in a high school setting is the fact that you have to take the step to personally speak up and you have to take the initiative instead of them kind of giving you that initiative?
Yeah, I think that it's you're constantly having to prove yourself all of the time, and like in everything that you do you just have to you start at bare minimum and like you have to work your way up with everything. And so I think that's where the inequality kind of sets in, was that like men are taking, or boys in our school are taking more seriously, I believe, than the girls.
And also this goes along with the next question of how do you think stereotypes contribute to the inequality of men and women? What are like some things that women are known for doing as far as like activities or like versus like what men are known for doing?
I know personally, like if I come to school without makeup, people ask me if I'm okay or if I'm sick. And I think that that's something boys don't really have to experience. And I also will play into like the guys part of it. It's like guys who wear like nail polish or like want to wear makeup, express themselves in that way. They're called, usually they're called gay, or like they're looked down upon because they're doing feminine things. And it's not because it's men expressing themselves, it's men expressing themselves in mainly feminine ways. That's why it's degrading, because it's portrayed by women. And I think that's a big part of it. And I remember in PE class, like freshman year, um, Mr. Well, I won't say his name, but there was a PE teacher who made the boys run 5 laps and the girls run two because girls get tired easier. He said that like out loud. So it was really like there's stuff like that that happens all the time that people don't really talk about, but it still happens.
Yeah, going along with like the gym setting, do you think that when gym teachers say that girls can only do 25 push-ups versus like the boys who can do more, is that something that also like contributes to like the gender inequality?
Yeah, I think that, well, looking at like professional sports too, like Serena Williams, like she does way better than like male athletes in like tennis and stuff. And I think that there are some biological things that like men have more muscle mass or whatever they want to say about it. But I also think that it really just pertains to the person. It's not about gender. It shouldn't be anyway.
Would you say that toxic masculinity plays a huge role in it and less of it like men versus women? It's more of a toxic masculinity way of looking versus how women are portrayed?
Yeah, I think that um with especially with sports, I think that because I joined dance this year and I know that um dance isn't even really considered a sport, and I wonder like if that's why it is at school, but like a lot of people are like dance, that's not a sport. um I wonder if it has anything to do with the fact that we're all girls, um and that, the football team, even though our statistics aren't great with winning, that is taken much more seriously than even cheer, which is primarily women. um I think that our values are kind of unequal in what our school really cheers on.
Okay, so I kind of wanted to get into the topic of the infamous 97% that's going around on Instagram. There's a lot of talk of it on TikTok, a lot of social media settings. And for those of you who do not know what the 97% is, it is 97% of women in the US um, are sexually harassed in some way, which leaves only 3% that have not been subjected to sexual harassment.
Yeah, I I believe in that statistic wholeheartedly. Don't know any women that haven't experienced that. And I also heard that I saw the statistic that it's like the earliest or the average age that a woman gets catcalled is 11. And that like kind of blew my mind that it's like an 11-year-old is walking down the street and you have the urge to say something. I think that's really important for us to be like sharing how many women experience it, because there could be more and that we just don't, they just haven't come forward because they are scared. And I think that's because people respond with the not all men thing, which has never even been, we never said, I'm not even, I feel like that's like unsaid stuff, but I think that the 97% is now kind of shining the light on what men can do to stop it instead of victim blaming and saying, okay, well, girls, well, maybe you shouldn't wear that. Maybe you shouldn't dress like that. Maybe you shouldn't go out at night. Like, stupid stuff like that. I think it's now holding the accountability towards the men, which I think is a really good place for us to be.
So going along with that, what is your opinion on the saying boys can be boys?
I think that that is like the worst way you can respond to a woman's trauma or anyone's trauma, really. I think that it shouldn't be like boys will be boys. I think that um, I th- I just I it just blames the women, and it's setting the standard that society already has like its rules like made around the man. And so like this is how boys are, so you have to adjust to how boys are. Like that's the premise of that. And I really hate that because it's just obviously not fair. And I think that boys should be held accountable for their actions. I don't think that boys should be boys.
Yeah, I would say that phrase kind of tries to justify like what like what like bad things people do, and it kind of just puts the blame back on like the girl, like, oh, why are you being so sensitive, you know what I mean? And it just shuts down women basically.
Okay, kind of going off of that, there's a lot of stigmatism with friendships with male counterparts and how women, girls in a high school setting, they don't feel like the boys in their life are doing enough to help stop all these, like, the boys will be boys, to help stop people from blaming everything on the girl and all the negativity that comes with being a girl. So what are your opinions on like how your classmates, your peers are contributing to improving the future of women's life?
I think that it comes from the guys. I think their perspective is just like it's been that way for so long, where they are making jokes in private about girls' bodies or serious topics, and they're taken so lightheartedly because they haven't had that hand experience of being a woman in America. Um, and I think people are starting to be more aware of what they say, what kind of jokes they made, especially with cancel culture, which is a whole nother story. But I think that it just starts at being accountable, holding your friends accountable, making sure that they're not saying stupid jokes and that could hurt people, because you really don't know. Looking at the 70 or this 97% um, is just like telling that it could offend someone, and it could offend your best friend, your sister, your mom, your grandma, like very important women in your life. So just think about that when you want to make a disgusting joke.
Growing up, were you ever encouraged to like something simply because you were a girl?
I was a very like a quote unquote girly girl, which is also probably sexist, but it's fine. Um, I really did like dressing up and makeup and dolls and all that, and I do consider myself pretty, again, quote unquote girly, still. So I don't know if it was like encouraged. Like I definitely recognized when in preschool and kindergarten, I was supposed to play with the dolls and with dress up and play house a lot, and I was going to be the mom playing house. Um, and the boy would when we would play house, he would go off to work and the girl would stay home and clean. A lot of that kind of stuff. But now, like even now, like I'm going into nursing, and being a woman in STEM is already like it's you're surrounded by people who believe that they know better than you. So them assuming that nursing is kind of like when you go to the Halloween store and you see a nurse costume, you don't see the real nurse costume. You see like a you know what kind of nursing costume you see. So it's just like these ideals are pushed onto us so young that we're kind of used to it, and I think that that's probably where the main issue is.
Okay, and I think that concludes our podcast. Thanks for listening and have a great day.